If you ever asked the question, how much money can I make on my Airbnb? You're not alone. Especially before you go into this market, you need to know what kind of money is there even in this market, or am I getting into something that's just going to lose cash every single month? Let's go. Hey there, my name is Mike Fritz. I'm the founder of Titanium Capital Investments and Power Up Real Estate. On this channel, we help people just like you grow their passive income, create businesses, and create a life of their dreams. And if that's you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, join our family of entrepreneurs and real estate investors that want to grow a life that they're proud of and are absolutely excited to wake up every single day. Also, make sure you turn on that bell notification so you get notified every time we do a video, and smash that thumbs up button because that lets everybody else know this video needs to be watched. Now, if you want to make money with Airbnb, let's go. So how much money can you make on Airbnb? How much money can you make on Airbnb? Everybody has their number, but what is your number? How much can you make on Airbnb? Well, let me first tell you, there's a wide range and there's a couple considerations you need to have when you're picking that number so you know if it's worth it or not. The first thing you have to understand is market drives profit, right? So every market's a little bit different. So you're going to be able to make more money on Airbnb here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I live, than you are in Cornville, Iowa, where there's not a lot of people. So again, you have to understand, by the way, I think Cornville is actually here in Phoenix. I think it's Coralville, Iowa. So if you live in Coralville, Iowa, I'm really sorry. I'd like to ask your forgiveness right now. I do believe it's Coralville, Iowa. But the point is, it doesn't matter. If you live up there, I've been there. There's actually a beautiful Marriott there. Probably not as Airbnb friendly and as much money in Airbnb as there is in travel destinations like Phoenix and Scottsdale and Myrtle Beach and Texas and Florida and some of these places people travel. So you have to understand the market drives the profit. So you may make $1,000 a month up in Iowa or in Michigan, where I owned a couple Airbnbs. You take that same property, put it here, you might make $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month. So the scale and the range is very different. So I tell people this all the time. If you're going to do Airbnb, I would rather you build the skills of owning a property across the country rather than just pick the property that's close to you because you feel comfortable. And I understand that that's really scary for a lot of people to own property where they don't live. That's a mindset shift. I don't own any property in Phoenix other than the house I live in, and we have over 450 units. Now, I tell you that because I had to build that skill. And how much money you can make in Airbnb is actually predicated on that skill. Meaning, the more muscle you build around being able to own properties where you don't live, the more money you're going to make. Market drives profit. Keep saying that to yourself. Because if you pick a market that really isn't Airbnb friendly or short-term rental friendly, it's really not going to generate a lot of profit for you. But you also have to pick your number. What's that number for you? Is it $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $10,000 a month? What makes it worth it to you? And if it's $1,000 a month and you get another $1,000 a month to change your game, then you probably can make that where you are. If it's, you want to generate an extra $5,000 a month with one property, well, then you're probably going to have to go to more of a destinational place. But again, market drives profit. So how much can you make? Depends on the kind of market you choose and the amount of muscle you have around the ability to run properties that are outside of your area. The second thing is it's dictated by the kind of property you have. Because one of the things people don't understand with short-term rentals, and I didn't understand when I got into this, is you can actually short-term rental out a lot of different things. Literally, people short-term rental out one room of their house. I'm not kidding you. So they have a 3-bedroom house. They never use that third bedroom, and they Airbnb out that one single bedroom. And so they'll tell people there's one single bedroom. Of course, they have access to the kitchen and all the things that they need, but it's one bedroom. So if a college student is traveling and they're like, hey, I'm going to be in a dorm anyway, I feel comfortable staying in somebody's house and meeting new people, you can stay in a room. Literally, that is one option on Airbnb and VRBO and these short-term rental sites. So you have to understand it's not always the full place. The other thing people rent out is campers. They'll take a camper, it's set out in their driveway, and they Airbnb their camper out. So when we talk about short-term rentals, you have to understand the type of property dictates how much you can make. Obviously, if you're doing a short-term rental on a portion of your home or one bedroom or a camper or something smaller, it's going to be less revenue versus the entire property, bigger house, more bedrooms, bathrooms, space, etc. So again, just understand the type of property changes the kind of revenue you can make. But here's the other thing. Wherever you're at, start there. Let's say you do have a camper. Airbnb that sucker. Let's generate some revenue. Let's say you live in a duplex and the other tenants moved out and you've got to renovate the property, but before you put a tenant in, throw it up on Airbnb, see what happens. Start where you're at. So if you have a portion of your house you could Airbnb, or as we call them in Phoenix, casitas. Usually there's little guest houses, or if you have they call it an in-law suite or a guest suite in your house, or a basement that has a separate entrance and has a kitchen down there, Airbnb that area out and see if you can generate revenue with that. Because again, the type of property dictates revenue, but start where you're at. Instead of going and buying a new property or furnishing a whole new place or renting a new place for the purpose of short-term rentals, use what you have. So how much money can you use on Airbnb? Dictated by that the area and the property, but you also want to keep your expenses low when you're starting off. So Airbnb out what you have, or use a short-term rental strategy for whatever you have. The third one is pick the right strategy. So what do I mean by the right strategy? Well, I actually learned this the hard way, and it's called price pacing. It's like, what the heck is price pacing? Price pacing is making sure you're not renting out too far ahead, because you rent out too far ahead, you could actually probably get more money for that night closer to that date. But so many people are worried about losing that date, they don't do that. So let me tell you how this looks. So there's three different models inside of short term. There's nightly, or a couple nights at a time. There's monthly, or kind of just somebody coming in for a month. Or there's 6 months, 12 months, kind of long-term people rent through Airbnb. And I know you're like, or through short-term rentals. You're like, wait, I thought people just go there for the kind of the hotel model. Believe me, we've had people on our Airbnb rent for 3-6 months, and we get a high dollar for those. But let me remind you, one of the ways to make the most is in those 2 to 7 night rentals. That's where your money's at, because you get the least amount of discounts. So you'd be better off to figure out how to increase your occupancy versus in figuring out how to increase the length of stay of your guests. So our strategy is we want people staying 7 nights or less. However, when we first started, we took every booking we could get to generate revenue until we could pan that out and really make sure that we're optimizing our pricing. But how much can you make on Airbnb? It really is dictated by the market, the place, and your strategy. And then, of course, the last one, it's dictated by your price. And we just talked about price pacing. Your price, your nightly price, how much money you're charging per night, and what the occupancy rate is for that area. You can actually figure out the occupancy of your area. So let's say it's 20 nights. Let's say it's $100 a night. That's $2,000 a month. So you understand you're going to make $2,000 a month, and then you take off your expenses, and then you have your leftover revenue. So the idea is picking your pricing is really important. So I always like to pick the market average for my type of place, go a little bit above that, add a few amenities that justify that price raise. Maybe some breakfast when they get there, or some kind of danishes in the refrigerator, or some high-end coffee. Things that just make it feel higher end, and then go a little bit above, because you're going to get a higher clientele, and usually they're going to be not as hard on your place, and you're also going to make more money over the long haul. But generating money on Airbnb or VRBO or any short-term rental site is really just about a couple things. How much can you make? Well, that depends. That depends on how your strategy is, what market, what place, and what price. Now, if you'd like some help building your Airbnb business and have some questions, we've created the Real Estate Ignition Inner Circle for students just like you who are ready to build a career in real estate, in business, so they can generate revenue and build a life. If the Real Estate Ignition Inner Circle interests you, go ahead and click that link, and our team will hop on the phone with you. We'll tell you about it, and we'll hopefully see you inside soon, and you'll be our next success story. And as always, make sure you bounce around the channel. We have loads of videos helping you create passive income, create businesses, and build a life. I'll see you in the next video.